stop, stick around, come through and dig the sound of the fly brown 6060 cycle. Who throws hits around?
Welcome to another wonderful episode of Wine Down with Kev. Thank you to everybody tuning in on live stream, IG, Facebook, YouTube. You are appreciated. Special thanks to everyone that's already clicked the notification and subscribe button. Thank you. And if you haven't done it already, please hit the notification and subscribe button now. Also, can't do this without thanking my sponsors, Carol Media and Canopy Connect. Please reach out to both of them for all things digital. Carol Media and Canopy Connect. Okay, we are traveling to Tennessee today. We have a great show lined up for you. A good friend of mine, an amazing guest. He is an award-winning agent, honoring multiple times, national conference multiple times, national summit, Pinnacle Elite. You name an award, he has already won it. More importantly than all the awards, he's someone I'm proud to call my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, straight out of Tennessee, Daniel Austin.
Thank you. I feel like Rocky Top should be playing, but yeah. Well,
you got to come running out.
I need you to travel with me. I love that.
I got you. I need to travel with you in costume with some of the stuff you do online. You're always dressing up and mixing you up, man. So I can be in your videos. I can introduce you. I can do that work.
Yeah, I like it. Let's go with it. I love it. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
No, man, I'm happy to have you, man. I tried to shout out some of your accolades, but I forgot to mention your family. So why don't we start out by shouting out your wife and your amazing son, and then we'll get into this insurance and other business stuff.
Absolutely. So been married for a very long time. So I actually married my high school sweetheart. So we met, went to different high schools and met through a mutual friend when we were originally sophomores, and finally reconnected as juniors in high school. Never looked back. Been with each other ever since. And then we have one amazing, beautiful son, Isaac, who's 8 years old. And he is our everything. Only child, so he's a little too spoiled sometimes, but we love to spoil him, love to give him everything he wants, and help him be successful in what he's doing. So that's us, man. It's just a family of three. We have a dog who is, I believe 14 years old.
Wow.
So we've had him for quite a while too. Maybe he's 15. I got to do the math on that. So we have one dog that is so young at heart and plays with Isaac every single day. It's a blast. So that's the family. It's us four. We're going to add Drake, our dog, in there, but it's us four, and very blessed with everything.
Well, shout out to you and the beautiful wife. About this time last year, you and I were in an airport in Cancun. It was yourself, your wife, your office manager, partner, and his wife were sharing a beverage, waiting for some transportation to get to the event in Cancun. So what a difference a year makes. I love it. So Daniel, the insurance stuff is going to be easy for us. I'd rather talk about some more important things than this Tennessee Vol hat that I have on my head. How do you feel about the Vols basketball team this year? I think I shared with you that Zakai Ziegler, the point guard, is from my hometown. So that's why I'm rocking the Vols hat. But tell me how you feel about the team.
Man, I love them. I think we don't travel well is what I'm worried about. So it's when we got some big guys. We were playing in Kentucky a few days ago. So when we're playing these big teams at their home, man, I tell you what, that home court advantage is a real thing, and I see it. They've got a strong team. Ziegler, man, just one of the best to do it. The team spirit, year after year he's been with Tennessee, and he just keeps this team together. He is so smart with the ball and the playing and the calling and all that. I know Coach gives him a lot of credit. I know Coach gives him a lot of, flexibility on how he wants to run the offense, but he is controlling that entire team, and very, very excited to see them succeed. I mean, we're still highly ranked. We got March Madness coming up. I feel confident in that too. I feel like just sports and just Tennessee sports in general are just, man, we're on a roll right now. We've got some good stuff going, not just basketball, but in a lot of areas. So
the football too. So I'm all around. You guys the basketball team has big shoes to fill, losing Dalton Connect, going to the Lakers. I just feel like if one of the shooters would just be Dalton Connect, that's all they have to do. Just make all the shots. That's all.
Yeah, just be the best shooter that we've ever had. Yeah, Lanier does good. Lanier, man, he's a good shooter. He's a good 3-point shooter. But, man, they are on him the minute he's on that court, man. Like, it's tough for him to get out and shoot those threes. But when he's on, he's on. I mean, he's pushing it. But, yeah, I'm glad we had, Dalton for a year, but hated to see him, leave. But, we got him a little too late in the game.
He's doing okay. He found some good work with a small company in Los Angeles called the Lakers. So I think he's going to be fine. So, Daniel, I'm rocking my hat today because I'm used to seeing you in a nice 10-gallon hat, man. I'm used to seeing you in a nice 10-gallon. Where's the 10-gallon at today?
Well, I've got probably about 5 or 6 in the closet in the room next to me. So I like to buy them in bulk. Because we're doing stuff with the staff, and the staff want to wear them. I want to wear them. They get worn out, they get tore up. So I've got 5 or 6 in the office here, and I've got a handful at the house as well. So I always have one when I need one. But I bought them a lot. I guess about 4 years ago is when I started getting into the hat and buying them when I needed them, buying them for the team. They love to use their own personal social media and use them as well. So it makes me stand out. That's the whole thing about it. It's a marketing tactic, and it's been successful with using it. So
hey, let's stay right there. If you think you stand out in Tennessee with a 10-gallon hat, I would kill the game in New York with a 10-gallon. I'd be the only one.
There's some hats, but man, they're not 10-gallon out. If I were in Texas, I think that's different. I think Texas is a whole different thing. But the funny thing is, I got that idea from the movie Dumb and Dumber. When I was a kid watching Dumb and Dumber, my favorite movie ever. Like, I could almost quote the entire movie. And he had that giant hat when he went to the store. When I became an agency owner, I was like, how do I stand out? What do I do? How do I stand? I'm thinking. I was like, I'm just going to buy a giant cowboy hat. I got it from the movie Dumb and Dumber. Yeah,
that is the best marketing idea. Thank you for letting me know the source of ideas. So, agents, business owners listening to this podcast, if you want a genius idea, watch Dumb and Dumber and find a way to stand out. Daniel, we're going to talk insurance, but on the social media side, the COI side, I consider you to be one of the most influential agents in our business, flat out. I can't tell you how many times I've shared your YouTube video with people that want to know how to do it, how to connect, how to generate business without spending a gazillion dollars. So talk to me first. Let's talk social media and the role in your team and what that means to your agency. Then I'm going to ask you about COI, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think where we like to stand out is giving people a humorous side in some aspects, but more of a behind the scenes side, right? When people think insurance, unfortunately, they're thinking, we're sitting in cubicles with khakis on and we're on the phone all day and we're bored. It's like, I'm trying to break that thought, that vision of what people think insurance agents are. And so I like to try to be humorous in a lot of things that I like, a lot of the content and social media that we put out, but more importantly, like, what are we doing behind the scenes? What are we doing within our community? What am I doing to build up my team? What am I doing to bring in more clients? So it's almost like a behind the scenes look of insurance agents. And we've been brainstorming on a niche that we're trying to focus on right now with social media. And so we're going to be coming out with our own little niche insurance. When you look at TikTok, there's a lot of stars that do the same thing over and over and over, but they're different every single time, but it's the same concept. Right. We're building out our concept right now, and that's what we're going to go with. We are going to be known as this insurance agent what that's going to be when we roll out with it, right? So we're excited to finally, we've scattered everywhere. We've done a lot of stuff. Now I'm trying to focus on what is that one thing that we're known for? An example, there is a private jet booking company on TikTok, a Mafia Jet. I'm not sure if you've ever seen their stuff, but he takes calls from clients and he records them. And some of them are, they're fake. Some of them are his friends calling stuff, but they're so funny and they're so humorous. And he's got a huge following. He's gone viral in the last 4 months. And I believe it's called a Moffy Jets. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching this. I'm like, I need a niche. Like, what's my niche? What's my go-to? And that's what we're gearing up to be. Right. So
I love it.
Yeah, I want to be known as that one insurance agent that does this thing, and that's it, man. But the humor is not going away. Like I thrive off humor. I love to make people laugh. I love to laugh, and so that's not going away. But we're gearing to our niche is what we're going to be trying to do and roll out with hopefully very soon.
Well, I heard something a long time ago I think applies to every business, and that's the riches are in the niches. The riches are in the niches. So I think when you say that, I'm just sitting here with anticipation because I know whatever it is, whatever you do, I know you and your team are going to completely crush it. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see what it is and to steal and use any good ideas that you put out there. So, hey, DJ, what's up? I'm in the middle of recording the podcast.
I know, man.
No. Yeah. So, this guy, we want to talk about something different. He's trying to get his website and his Google My Business page going.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody knows you helped me to get to the 2 Comma Club, and be seen by a couple of million people. But this person wants to do something different. They're trying to run ads to their book of business, their model line campaigns and stuff like that.
I know, Kev.
Oh, man. Well, DJ, talk to the people, man, so I can get back to the podcast. How can you help?
Yeah, man. So listen, I can help you by running monoline ads to your auto, your home, as well as optimizing your website, your Google business profile, and your social media outlets. We can do the exact same thing we've done for Kevin over the years and get you in front of millions of sets of eyeballs to help you grow your business. Contact Carroll Media today. Kev, let them know.
DJ, I appreciate you jumping in the podcast. Hit up Carroll Media. DJ, I gotta go. I gotta get back to the podcast.
I know.
Danny, let's jump into the insurance business. I looked at your bio. You started this journey as an LSP before you became an agent. So starting as a staff person, let's talk about what some of the initial marketing ideas were then. What kind of stuff did they have you doing, and how did you evolve into what you're doing today?
So marketing as a staff member, it was throwing everything out I could. Let's try this. Let's try that. Let's try that. What clicks is what I was trying to do back then. Honestly, it's really kind of what I did when I started my agency as well, until we figured out what we were doing, but it's just throwing out a bunch of ideas and what was clicking. So I remember, man, we got this new home product and it was based on a new roof. Hey, if you've got a new roof, we got a great rate. I was doing just handwritten. I did a template and I would handwrite a card and I would just mail them out. And what I would do is I wouldn't use branded material at all on the envelope.
Okay.
It's, XYZ insurance company. It's in the track. It's in the track.
Right. Right.
So what I would did is like those A10 size envelopes. They look like wedding invitations. They're more square. Nice. I throw it in there. The return address is the agency, but it looks like a normal address. It's not a suite number or anything. I would handwrite cards and I would just send them out, and it'd have a sample quote in there that I'd run. And then, hey, I'd love to talk to you about your insurance. Here's a sample quote of what we can run. I would just tackle that direct mail just by myself with just normal stamps and handwriting and a printed quote, and just try to mail those out to as much people as I can. So what happened, let me back up one second if you don't mind.
Okay, I don't mind. Please take your time.
Yeah. I started April of 2011. April 1st, 2011.
Okay.
27 days later, we had the largest tornado outbreak in the history of the United States. April 27th, 2011, in Southeast, the biggest tornado outbreak that's ever been.
Wow. We
were fortunate in the Tennessee Valley not to have too many tornadoes. We still had a lot. We got the hail damage.
Okay.
Hail damage. But it was very spotty. I know this one zip code got hammered with hail. The other ones didn't, right? And the one over here got hammered. So I learned very quickly what we do is a lot more than selling insurance policies. I realized
Right.
that 27 days into this, into this journey at the time. So when I was doing my direct mail, I would target the zip codes that I knew had the most damage, who most likely had new roofs that were just put on by the roofing companies. Right. So I would handwrite cards. I would go to a data company and I would pull zip codes for homes that people owned. And I would just start handwriting letters, and I would send out,
I love it. Daniel, I completely love what you're doing and how you approached it. What I'm thinking as I listen to you describe it, I'm thinking about 2011. We're probably 2 years into the internet lead revolution at that point. And I'm thinking that the agency owner, correct me if I'm wrong, unless he was a marketing genius like you, when he hired you, he probably wanted you to do more telemarketing than being so creative.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. We would do a little direct mail, and then I'd be having him, I was like, hey, let's try these data leads. Like, let's try these data leads. Let's do this company. They give me, $400 or something, which back then was a lot of money.
a lot.
Give me $400 in internet leads. And so and we didn't have lead management systems back then or anything. So I'd print them off. I'd highlight them in different colors, and I would put my notes on the back of them, and I'd have a stack of, data leads, internet leads sitting right there on my desk. I'd start working. We didn't have the luxury of a lot of these lead management systems and CRMs and stuff like that at that time. If we did, I didn't know about them because, the agency I worked for didn't do tons of marketing, did a little bit of direct mail, and that's it until I got in there. And then I started trying to think of new productive ways to get in there, to bring in the business. And the internet lead, data leads, that's one that I decided we should try, and I think was very successful with it for the return.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was you're right in the beginning of it. Some other agents started early, they took off. I was late to the party, but when I seen guys ahead of me on the leaderboard, I humbled myself and I joined in. So you're an LSP for 6 years, but I love that you worked for someone that allowed you to use your ideas. Daniel, you know this. You coach and you help other agents just like I do. Many of our peers struggle with just letting your LSPs try something that they see that you can't see. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I love it. I had a mentor tell me that you've got to let people fail at things to be successful. Yeah. Hopefully they don't fail at their tactics, but they know if you're within my agency and you want to try a marketing tactic, you just got to run it by me. Yeah. I honestly don't know in the 8 years that I've ever said no to a marketing tactic. Let's try it. I'll fund it. Here's some cool ideas. Let's try it this way or that way. We'll meet on it, but then you got to go with it. Yeah. I can't, with staff coming on and off and on and off, and I can't work all these marketing tactics. This is your baby. I'll help fund it and I'll help you in any way I can, but I can't physically be there to hold your hand through it. I love it. I've got some that love working with COIs. I've got some that are not very outgoing COIs. They do the handwritten letter stuff that I used to do back in the day, the A10 envelopes. We've got them boxes of those envelopes here. I got some that want to try, networking events, networking groups, stuff like that. That's fine. I did networking groups, for 4 years, 5 years. I grew when I worked for the other agency. I grew my own personal book of business a lot off that networking.
We're talking BNI, or we're talking a different group?
Very similar to BNI. It's a local group called REO. Yeah, it's called REO. It's a local group here in the Knoxville area, but basically same thing as BNI. You meet once a week, hour and a half, 2 hours. You've got to meet with people outside of the group for outside meetings. You got to pass referrals and stuff like that. So very similar to that. But the lady who ran it was so smart in it, and she would teach you how to be a better networker.
Got it.
And so she would host classes on how to network in a better way versus just joining a group and just hoping to sit there and get referrals from people. That's not the way that works.
No. It's a learned behavior. I was talking to someone earlier about BNI was my formal education for networking, and nothing is replaced. And it sounds like this REO group was similar. Hey, Ray, what's up? I'm in the middle of shooting a podcast here.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Nothing, man. I'm talking to a couple of my guys. They're struggling with all this new stuff, man. It's taking them 20, 30 minutes to fill out a quote sheet.
That's way too long, man. I think we can help.
You sure, man? They're trying to do different stuff. They're trying to do like X-Day campaigns. They're cross-selling. They want to follow with people they meet at networking events.
Yeah, well, Canopy Connect, you just send them a link. What is that? You can text it to them. You can put it on your business card as a QR code, scan that up, and all they have to do is click on that link, find their carrier, their insurance carrier, and sign into it. And we're gonna go in and grab all the information you need to get a quote, all their policy information, their deck pages, drivers, vehicles, and enrich that with property data. We get all that stuff, right? So you don't have to spend 30 minutes on the call. It's all easy.
Well, shut the front door. Enough said. Guys, you heard it right here. Stop going old school. Use Canopy Connect. Thanks, Ray. I got to get back to the podcast.
Got it. See you.
So, Daniel, with your approach, you gave me 3 or 4 ideas and ways that you let people do their own thing. It has to be fun to work for your agency, to know that when you come in. So you mentioned, we're talking off camera, you are right now, you're doing a lot of recruiting and a lot of hiring. So let me go through those steps and ask you some specific questions. If someone wants to get started, they want to get a license in the great state of Tennessee and get into the insurance business, what are the steps? What do they have to do?
So I've only used one company for licensing. And so I always tend to push them towards that because, man, I'm not a good test taker. I never was growing up. And if I could take these insurance exams and pass, I believe in that product, right? And so I've always kind of pushed them to this. And it's up to them. Do you want to do a live class or an on-demand? And if you do a live class, hey, it's in 4 days, you're testing in 5 days, you're ready to go, right? If you've got a job and you can't dedicate 8 hours a day to go to a live class, do the on-demand. On-demand seems to take about 3 weeks for people to fully go through the course, be confident in their test taking, with their practice exams, and then take the test. So we always tend to push people that way. If they have a job, just take your time. We're in no rush, but just know, we'd like for you to test on this date or on this date. We want to give them a goal. I feel like if you don't have something on the calendar, it's easy
not
to
going to happen.
I'll do it next week. I'll do it next week. I don't have time. As an agency owner and as a business owner, man, I want you here yesterday, right?
Yes.
But I'm cool, and I'm gonna back off and say, okay, give yourself 2 or 3 weeks. Let's test on this date right here. And that's
so you're making that job offer based on that contingency. Today is whatever date. Kevin, love you, how you present yourself. You're wearing a Tennessee Vol hat. You can pass the test by this date. I've got an offer for you.
Absolutely. I've had someone pass it in 3 days. I've had someone pass the state exam, study, and pass in 3 days. I know it can be done, and I tell people that. And that one person is my top agent year after year, Sunshine. So she passed it in 3 days. And I tell people that all the time, hey, you could do the self-study. It shouldn't take you 2 months, right? Like, I've had someone pass it in 3 days. I've had someone else in about a week or so, so let's set a deadline and go after this deadline.
I love it. I love it. And shout out to Sunshine for doing it in 3 days. That's quite a bar. And thank you for your transparency that you're not a good test taker. I know quite a few successful agents and LSPs that didn't pass it on the first round, but they wound up getting it done. So Daniel, riddle me this. You're aggressively recruiting and hiring. What are you looking for in a salesperson? What are the ideal qualities that you want for someone to be able to join your agency?
Number one, they've got to be open-minded to be coached. I run into a lot, and they're set in their ways, right? Okay. I'm a great salesperson. I know what I'm doing. This is the way I do. You got to be open to coaching, especially if you've already been in an insurance agency. Mm-hmm. I'm going to run mine totally different than the way others run theirs, And so my biggest thing, and what we talk about to every prospect that we look at bringing on is, we are going to have a coaching session once a week, agency-wide. And when you're new, we're going to have about 3 coaching sessions a week.
Nice.
So make sure you've got to be open to my scripts, my talk paths, stuff. I'm open. Like, get successful. Yep. Sorry, I cut out there. If you are successful with something, bring it to the table and let me look at it. Maybe we can tweak a few things, but I've gone through so many over so many years. I know this text message is going to work best.
Yes.
I know this email template is going to get people to respond a lot better.
Right.
So they've got to be coachable. Number two, and I don't mind saying it. It doesn't really bother me too much, but I love people with a social media presence.
Yeah.
When I look at them on Indeed, I go straight to their social media.
Okay.
I want to see how they present themselves on social media. I want to see, if they're currently with an insurance company, are they marketing themselves with that insurance company? Are they trying to bring in personal networks? Do they have 200 friends? Do they have 2,000 friends?
There's a difference.
I've got some very successful agents with me right now that have no social media presence. They have not many friends, or they don't post ever, and they're very successful still. My top agents, year after year after year, ever since I started, are the ones that have a social media presence, and they utilize that to bring in business. Now, I'm not going to not hire you because you don't have enough friends, but I do look at that, and if I'm looking at two different people, and I'm like, man, you guys both did great, but I could only choose one, I'm going to go for the person that's got a big social media presence, that markets themselves and doesn't mind using that as a platform to better enhance themselves in the agency that they work for.
Daniel, I love it. And that makes so much sense, because your success from LSP to agent comes from you marketing yourself. And it really helps. It lessens the load. Every person has a community. Every person has a tribe. There's somebody out there that knows them, likes them, and trusts them. But they've got to be telling their story and not actively waiting for you. So Dave, let's dive into COI, Center of Influence Leads. That's something you've mastered. Many agents around the country model your behavior, and you have this thing down to a science. Complete plug for you. I've watched it with my team, with my sales team, and I just say, just do that. Watch the video and take notes. And if you deviate, just watch it again, but do exactly what he says, exactly the way he does it. Talk to me about the strategy and how you came up with it, and how many people have said this exact same thing to you that I'm saying, how much they love the consistency of your system.
Yeah. So I got the COI but the idea to work with COIs while I was an LSP. And we had hired a gentleman who was a mortgage broker. Okay. He got out of the mortgage industry, wanted to get in the insurance industry. He quickly became almost a role model to me on how to build relationships with these mortgage brokers. And so, we sat side by side, desk wise in the same office every day. And I'm working internet leads. I'm doing the direct mail. I'm cross-selling. I'm working everything I can work. And he just has leads flooding in constantly. He's not having to make $200 a day. He's making 10 because he's got so much business coming in. I'm just like, oh man, I got to figure that out. I've got to do what he's doing. And so he would take me office to office, mortgage broker offices, and show me what just getting to know everyone. And, he had an inside foot on it because, he was already a mortgage broker, but he would introduce me to people and all that good stuff. And so when I started my own agency, that was one of the big things. Like, we are going to focus on mortgage brokers. That is what our number one goal will be in this agency to bring in business. You're starting off either scratch or buying a smaller book or whatnot. Your budget's tight.
Yes.
I can't spend $15,000 a month on direct mail, and I could easily go take some mortgage brokers to lunch, and maybe do a lunch and learn. Maybe we play Jeopardy. I've got a Jeopardy game related to insurance. So maybe we can do like a lunch and learn and play a game. And so I would start building processes out like that. And that's one of the things when we bring on new staff, we want you to be successful with us. And one of the number one ways you're going to be successful is working with COIs. So let's sit down. Let's look at your pipeline as far as any mortgage brokers on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatnot, right? Let's make a list and let's start tackling these one by one, and let's see how many that we can get. So the process has been tweaked multiple times throughout the year, and things evolve. I mean, did mortgage business drop a lot last year? Yeah. No one's touching a refi. You know what I mean? Like, so we lost all the refi business. Now, East Tennessee is a very good growth area. We have homes coming up quicker than we can sell them. So we were still on the good end of as far as new purchases with COIs, but it hurt us last year, not be able to do refis and stuff. The last 2 years, I guess. So, so it's always evolving. So we're always focusing on that. So, okay, let's focus on, mortgage brokers that are selling new homes, maybe neighborhoods, maybe builders that have their own real estate company. Let's focus on them that are building new homes. I know my rate's going to be great on a new home,
right?
And let's get in with these kind of people that they're selling 60 homes a year, 70 homes a year, real estate agents versus 10,
There's a big difference.
There is.
So Dave, I love you sharing that. So let's dive in. Let's go to the consumer side. Knoxville area, East Tennessee, every part of the country has different risks with natural disasters.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Tennessee a couple of times, ran into you in Nashville a couple of years ago. Many years ago, one of my sons had a basketball tournament. I can't tell you where I was at. I can tell you I was driving through some mountains and I was pretty scared. That's not my jam. Driving on mountains where there's no cliffs. So talk to me about what's important where you are in Tennessee. What coverages really separate you from other agents in the area that these new movers, maybe someone's moved from New York to Tennessee or Cali, and they just don't know. What do you emphasize, and what are the 2 or 3 coverages that these new homeowners have to prepare them for how things are going to go on their worst day?
Yeah, I mean, I think our area, it's a mixture of the type of claims that we have, and we've had some weird. I mean, we've had a chicken run through a mobile home and bust open the side of a chicken, Kevin, like so. When I'm talking broad, like we're broad here, right? So
right.
It wasn't through the home; it was through the bottom of the mobile home, the lining.
Got it.
We've had those. We've had but we have a lot of deer. That's a big issue, but it's always the hail. We have an area and it just keeps getting hit with hail claims, hailstorms, right? And we're having claims. So as far as the vehicle, I don't care how old your car is. You need to have comprehensive. If it's a 20-year-old car and you don't want collision, that's fine. Comprehensive is not very expensive down in Tennessee. You need this because we have so many hailstorms down here. On the home, it's making sure that they understand how the roof rating works, how hail claims are different than every other claim that we have, how there's a different deductible for hail claim versus every other product, and so it's just more of it's not one thing or another. It's just more educational on how we approach clients with this, and just know like, hey, you're from Texas. That's great. You got a lot of tornadoes and stuff. Here's what you got to look at here, right? And we start breaking it down. And flooding has been kind of a bigger thing with us in more recent years. I feel like it's just we're in the Tennessee Valley, man. We've got mountains on either side of us.
Okay.
We have lakes and streams and all that. Everything's just flooding on down. We've had 2 days of straight rain. We finally got some sunshine. We've been under a flood advisory for 3 days now.
Wow.
Getting ready for it. And it's just and when the hurricane Helene came through, it flooded everything. I mean, the mountains got it the worst by far, but we had dams that were fixing to collapse here in East Tennessee. Couldn't hold the pressure, and so you think Tennessee hurricane, what? Yeah. We're not, we're pretty far off from the coast, but you get a big one that's coming inland. It's the rain. It's not the wind. It's the rain that just kills this area. And educating people about flood insurance on that. Like, hey, flood insurance is not covered under this. If you want flood insurance, this is what we've got to do, and explain that. But, it's our whole approach and what we look at is just making sure they understand the deductibles and the coverages and all that, because there are different ones. If you go to another state, it's like, hey, I've got 1,000 deductible for everything. It's not going to be that case over here, right? Let's look at it in a different approach.
Daniel, I'm in this business. I'm approaching 4 decades. You just hit me with 10 things that if I were to open an agency in Tennessee, I would be lost. So for everybody in the great state of Tennessee, if you have insurance with a 1-800 number or a .com company, this is the value of a local agent. You hit me with chicken, deers, hail, the roof rating, the deductible, the flooding, the hurricanes. There's just a level of local knowledge that you have that isn't readily available when you go with the big box and you're thinking rate over risk. There is a value in all the things that you said to me, and that's really priceless. So Daniel, you hit me with a whole bunch, and I know this is 24 was an interesting year. Give me one success story where maybe your agency gave someone the right claims advice, they had the right coverage, and as a result, you were able to put them back together because they did have the right limits, and they were able to get their lives back to normal sooner versus later.
Man, there are so many of them, but I would. There was one, and I honestly I really don't remember what company they were with prior, but it was a percentage deductible.
Mm-hmm.
They had a 5% deductible, which in our area is extremely high. They had a 5% deductible on their roofs, on their homes. Theirs was just a 5% deductible across the board. They didn't realize that they could not afford their deductible if they had to use it. We discovered that, hey, you have a $30,000 deductible, whatever it was, right? Like,
Right.
I don't have that sitting in an account where I can just say, I'm just going to pay that for an insurance claim.
Yeah, that hurts.
It's just, maybe it wasn't 30, but it was 5%. And so it was one of my agents in my other office, and they called me like, man, this guy's going back and forth with me. It's rate. Like, oh, you're nowhere close to what I'm paying. I discovered they had a 5% deductible.
Yeah.
They can't even afford to file a claim on their home.
Right.
And so, of course, this was a very nice big home, but it's still at the time. And so when we uncovered that and told them like, hey, if you were to have a claim, this is what you're going to be paying out of pocket. Yeah. We've got you at a $2,000 deductible, right? That's our norm. The thousands are kind of going away.
Yeah.
Creep up a little bit, and I know it's state specific, but it's discovering something like that where people they sometimes they just get fixated on price.
Yeah,
and then when we're sitting down and we're looking at these coverages, like, man, like coverages not so far off, but your deductible. That's why it's so low. I'll put you at 5%. If you want to pay that, obviously we don't, but it's still just uncovering what they don't. They just look at price. They don't look at coverages, and so that's one that stood out in my mind. And then life insurance, man. We had a handful of death claims last year in the agency that we were able to have that discussion with them about the life insurance that they had, for their spouse or for their parents or whoever it was, for their kids. And as those are the most difficult conversations you'll ever have. And I've got an amazing financial specialist who helps with all of our life insurance. He does great. But those are some of the most difficult conversations that you can have, but at the same time, one of the most rewarding that you can have.
Yeah, it's the balance, right? It's the awful feeling that someone's lost their life. And then it's the very warm feeling that you did the right job and you protected that life. And while there's nothing we can do to bring that person back, thank God you and your specialist took care of their life insurance needs, and that family can maintain their lifestyle. They can still live in that house. And that's one of the biggest hidden values of what we do. Daniel, let's pivot a little bit. Let's talk about the community, man. You are heavily involved in the community. You're sponsoring high school sports. You're volunteering at the church. Talk to me about some of the community activities that you're in that you're most passionate about.
Well, in our area, I love everything that has to do with youth. I love youth sports. I want to keep kids busy, not just sitting at home or getting in trouble, right? So I'm big on youth and encouraging youth in sports. It's funny because I seriously, right when we started, I got a text from my brother and said, "Why did you buy 40 Girl Scout cookies for my daughter?" And I was like, "Man, she's hustling, man. I want to help her out, So he could not believe I bought 40 boxes, and so I brought him here to the office and gave them to the staff, between the two offices and stuff. But I care passionate about kids, man. I want kids to have a good childhood. I look back.
Absolutely. So I think you're frozen a little bit. So I'll talk a little bit while you get in.
There you are. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. You were telling the story, being passionate for the kids. 40 boxes of Girl Scout cookies, sharing it with the staff. You could pick up. Keep going.
Yeah. And so I had a great childhood. I'm giving my son the best childhood I can possibly give him. I want other kids in the area to have a great childhood. And so encouraging to, to do sports and get out and have fun, like that's what we care about. And so we work with a lot of schools. We do a lot of donations to schools and some after program program or after school programs. And then our first responders, man, I think
yes,
we in this area, man, we have been very, we've had quite a few that we've lost as far as, some police officers in the past 6-7 years to crime. And it's hit us hard. And so this community, I've never heard of another community that's so tight with backing first responders, backing the blue and all that. And so once a year, what we do is we'll get 200-300 biscuits from Hardee's, chicken, bacon, egg, and cheese, whatever, we just get a big pile of biscuits and we go to the fire stations, we go to the police department, we go to the sheriff's office, we go to the EMS office and stuff, and we just hand out biscuits. We love you guys. You guys do amazing work. You guys keep us safe. You guys keep us well. And so once a year, we just go to Hardee's and we grab hundreds of biscuits, and they're fortunate enough to help us out. They give us a good pricing on all the biscuits, and we just go out and give them to the first responders and the people that are making our community safe. And so those are the two areas, man. First responders and kids, man. Kids are just where I like to focus our time and energy.
No, man, you did that. And those random acts of kindness that you're doing that are spontaneous, they're not tied to an event. It's just a thank you. And who doesn't love Hardee's on a big day? You just made me hungry, man. We don't have any Hardee's.
Right?
The franchise is not in New York anymore. So you made me miss that Hardee's. Man, we're missing so much stuff. We have this attitude that New York is the center of the universe. But I've been a couple of places. I was telling someone earlier, like hot chicken. I didn't hear of it until I was in Nashville 2 years ago. So there's some things going on in other parts of the country that people can get out a little bit and see. So you were talking about your son earlier. How much fun is it being having a job like this or a business like this where not only can you work hard, but you can always be there for your son and all of his activities?
And it's probably one of the biggest blessings I've got is having that flexibility to be able to come and go as I please to make sure I'm there. Like I love waking up early and taking him to school, yes. and he actually goes to a school in the next county over. And so we have a 30-minute commute every morning. Nice. 45 in the afternoon because of traffic. Nice. I love it. I love waking up and getting his day going, combing his hair. He's got to wear a uniform. And then we talk on the way to school most of the time, unless he's playing Roblox or something. So, and then we're picking up like, hey man, okay, what was your favorite part of the day? It can't be recess. It can't be gym. What's your favorite part of the day? Be specific. And so yesterday was science. They were doing some projects in science, and that was his favorite part. He's only 8, so the science projects aren't extreme, but I just like to know, what's your day like? Where'd you have fun? Did you have any problems today? Like, let's get through. Let's talk about any kind of problems. But overall, man, he's just a good kid, man. He rarely does he have a bad day. He's just a happy kid all around. And so I love picking him up. I love dropping him off. And even my wife, Sarah, she said last night, she was like, hey, can I drop him off in the morning? Because I never get to. And I was like, yeah, no, I'll do it. You can pick him up though. So that way. But still, I just love feeding into him as a person and watching him grow and into what he's becoming. So, and not missing a moment, man. That's beautiful. And you hit Sarah with the yes and the no. So I definitely understand. So Dan, it's clear to everybody listening to this podcast that you work really hard, spend quality time with your son, you're giving back to the community. But how do you wind down at the end of the day? How do you decompress? How do you get away from it all? I'm a big music guy, and I love if I wasn't an insurance agent, I would be a DJ. Always wanted to be a DJ growing up. So yeah. So anytime I see a DJ booth, I'm always like, hey, can I get back there for like one song? Just let me just press the buttons, And so music's a big thing of it. But more recently, when I leave work, I don't touch the music. I open the sunroof or I roll the windows down, and I'm quiet. And I just it's more of a reflection. And I would say it's been like that for the last 2 or 3 months, you know?
Okay.
And I would just sit in the quiet on my way home. I'd listen to the wind and I would just reflect on the day.
Nice.
What were the positives and what were the negatives? What am I going to do when I get home? What's my to-do list for tomorrow? So I'm almost kind of like reflecting and scheduling a little bit more. And it's just quiet. And I'm in my head. If you would have said that 2 years ago, I said, no, you're crazy. Like I've got George Strait going or Kendrick. I mean, I'm bumping to every kind of music that you've got over here, right?
All right. So you said it. Let me use one of my timeouts here.
Yeah,
you said George Strait. Then you said Kendrick. Did I hear Kendrick?
Yeah.
All right. So I
Ever
got
since
it.
Sunday, it's a lot of Kendrick.
All right. So we gotta leave the insurance. We gotta leave winding down. Halftime show. I need some feedback. I enjoyed it, loved it, hated it. What'd you think?
Man, I saw so many people on social media hating it. I loved it. I loved it. Everyone's like, there's too many people. I remember when it used to be just a singer up on stage. I like the show.
Yes.
You know, I love all the people and what they're doing with everything. And it's, you know, maybe there's a little bit of beef in there. I'm hearing there's some beef with some stuff, but I thought it was a great show. I really did. Now, I've got quite a few friends that were like, yeah, that was a good show. And some others were like, I'm just too old. I don't even know who that was. And I'm like, how do you not know, Kendrick Lamar? So my playlist has been heavy, I would say, the last few days because of watching him at the Super Bowl and stuff. But he did a good performance. I really did enjoy it.
I love it. So you're going to get a lot of feedback. Controversy brings feedback. So you're going to get some lot of stuff in the comments. You agree with Daniel, disagree. I have no shame admitting I am a fan. I did enjoy the show.
Yes, it was good.
I'll talk more about the feedback at another time. So Daniel, man, you have been a phenomenal guest. I knew we crushed it on the insurance stuff and the COI and the marketing. Didn't know that you would close the show with Kendrick. So my final question is always the same. I did not know, man. That was a pleasant surprise. Yeah. My final question is always the same. You have so much emphasis on positive mindset with your staff, with yourself, with your son at 8 years old. So I would love for you. My audience is like any other audience listen to a podcast. Somebody out there is going through something. I would love for you to drop a positive word. Maybe somebody's chasing a dream. Maybe they got some ideas. They're not sure. They don't have the confidence to get started. I'd love for you to leave them with some encouraging words.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and you hear this quite often, and I'm proof that you've got to do something about it, but you've got to take a leap in what you want to be as far as life, as far as, your successfulness. If you want to be a business owner, if you want to do a certain hobby, right? You've got to take that leap. Man, I was so scared starting my own agency. I was cool, man. I was an LSP, like whatever, there's not a lot of stress in that world versus I took a huge leap buying into an agency, so much debt, not knowing how to build out a team, and you just figure it out when you go, because if you've got the passion behind yourself and you got your drive and you want to push yourself, again, this is business, this is hobbies, this is, this relationship wise, right? Like just, you got to take a leap in faith and believe in yourself, believe in your processes, find people, like-minded people that can help you grow as well. And I there's no doubt I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am right now without, the successful agents that I've partnered with, man. Meeting you, Craig, Mark. I mean, there's so many agents out there that just feeding off of each other, just helping each other, man. Like, you've got to surround yourself with positive, like-minded people. You've got to take that leap, and whatever you're trying to do, you've got to just say, you know what, I'm going to do it. Life's too short. I'm going to take this leap. You don't want to be miserable all day.
Yep.
Right. You don't want to say, man, what if I would have done this? What if I would have, I would have loved to play that instrument. I wish I would have started 10 years ago. All right. Well, you know what? You did it. Start today. Right. Go back. Don't look at the past and say, I wish I would have started it then. Start it now. Nothing's holding you back. The only thing that's holding you back is your mindset. So you gotta have a positive mindset. You got to take that leap of faith in whatever you want to do, business or personal. and surround yourself with like-minded, positive people, because people feed off positivity. People also feed off negativity. So surround yourself with positive people.
Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Austin, absolutely phenomenal guest. I don't know if anybody else got anything great out of this podcast. I got a ton. I'm supposed to be asking questions. I have like notes and notes and notes, but put it in the comments. Tell me you enjoyed this podcast. Please click the like and subscribe button if you like this content. Thank you so much tuning in, watching us today. And big thank you to my sponsors, Carol Media and Canopy Connect. Talk to them for all things digital, all things social, and tune in for more great content like this. Daniel Austin.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you having me.
Appreciate you, man. Completely.